Hello, this is Greg from SharePoint Maven, and in this video I would like to share with you 10 SharePoint page design best practices. So look, as you design your SharePoint sites, SharePoint pages, obviously there is a lot we can do within the SharePoint environment, right? You can change layouts, add different sections, split sections into columns, add web parts, with images and text. And I have been doing this over, many years, building lots and lots of different department sites and internet portals for my clients. So I have seen lots of examples, obviously, that I created, that my clients created, and I decided I accumulated over all these years kind of a total of 10 best practices that I think will improve your the look and feel of your your SharePoint pages and will improve, I guess, the functionality and the user adoption of your pages. All right. So what I decided to do is essentially put all of those 10, best practices, SharePoint page design best practices together, and once again record this tutorial for you. Now, the tips and tricks I'm about to share pretty much apply to any type of site in SharePoint, right? In my example, of course, we have the internet portal, the SharePoint-based internet portal. But if you are just building maybe your own department site, or even if it's maybe a team site, it doesn't really matter. All right. The tips and tricks I'm about to share with you pretty much apply to all of these different use cases. All right. One other thing I wanted to mention is that I actually recently published a blog on my blog, all right, an article on my blog. And if you make it to my blog, all right, at SharePointMaven.com, and let me find it for you. So the reason I want to show it to you is because I'm of course about to share all the tips with you and show it to you in this video. But in case if you want additional instructions about some of these features that I mentioned in this video, in this blog, definitely feel free to check it out, because I have links to some of those more advanced and deep dive, I guess, articles explaining some of these features I'm about to show you. So the tip number one I want to share with you, and to me it's always kind of a almost like a deal breaker. Keep the content above the fold. What do I mean by that? Look, as you build your site and add content, right? I mean, you only have kind of limited real estate on your pages. And for example, what you see right now on the screen is an example of a company, internet home site, all right, the main site with news, links, events, and so on. And as you add information, right, you kind of have to scroll down. But notice I don't have much information at the bottom, right? There is very little scroll that users have to do. Now let's compare it to another example. I just happened to install one of the Microsoft, templates, and it does look amazing. All right. Obviously, this page looks amazing. Great, layout, great content. But look how much vertical scroll the users, have to do. So some of this information at the bottom, the chances are users might not even find it, because when they make it to your site, right? So if I clicked on this department site, for example, what do I see first, right? What jumps out at me first? Obviously, all of this stuff, or this is, by the way, is a hero web part. Obviously, some text here and some links here, but everything, below it, I have to scroll down, all right? And the reality is, many users just don't do that, right? I mean, if there is I've seen pages with like, I don't know, 2 or 3 or 4 pages of scrolling, right? Very unlikely that users will do that. So what I always recommend is, keep everything above the fold. Now, you might ask me, well, all right, if we have way too much content, how do we deal with it? Well, there are a few tricks available to you. By the way, some of these tricks you will see a little bit later in this video. But first of all, nothing prevents you from creating an extra page, right? So if you have, actually, let's go to this site. So if I have way too much content, I can just create another page, all right? And we can put we can give it a name. And you have all this additional real estate where you can add all of this essentially content that you have. All right, and once you publish it now, of course, in this particular case, you would need to copy the link to this page and make it available to your obviously audience, right? So for example, I created this extra page. I might need to probably maybe add it as a link over here in the navigation, or maybe add as a link over here. But I think you get the idea, all right? And essentially try to minimize the vertical scroll. And you can always, if you have way too much content, definitely create some additional pages. Now, during this video, I will also show you some additional tricks that will help you mitigate and improve this vertical scroll issue as well. The next tip I want to share with you is try to avoid too much white space. All right, you will notice that especially if you download some of those Microsoft templates, they do look attractive, but some of them contain just way too much white space. All right, some extra maybe space in between the web parts. Now, some of that we cannot do anything about it. All right, like this vertically. All right, this is what it is. This is how SharePoint web parts render on the screen. But one of the techniques to use to get rid of some of this extra space is to add an extra column. So you added a page, and in this case, we have this 2-column layout. We can always make it 3 columns, all right? Of course, in this particular case, you might need to put something in here. Let me maybe, I'll just drag this widget in here, for example, all right? But let me republish it. But if you notice now, it's a little bit more compressed, and we definitely have much less white space than we used to have. By the way, this technique, the 3-column layout, will also help you mitigate that vertical scroll. Now, of course, I still have all this other stuff in here, but let me just show you what I mean by that. I'm actually going to change this, all right, move it down over here, all right, and we can eliminate it, whatever, but let me just republish it, all right. So look, now instead of news being somewhere at the bottom, because remember I utilized the space on the screen a little bit more wisely. Instead of 2 columns, I added a 3rd column. And now all of the sudden, when users make it to my site, they will see all this content essentially right on the page, and they will not even be required to do a bit of vertical scroll to find all this content. The next tip I want to share with you, tip number 3, has to do with headers, text headers. Now, this only makes sense if you're adding a bunch of text to your pages, but let me actually show you what I mean by that. I'm going to edit this page, and I'm just going to utilize this space at the very bottom. And I'm going to add a text widget, text web part. So here we go. And I'm just going to, let's say we add some benefits information and, some text here. All right, just like that. Now, obviously, you can highlight and make it bold or whatever, right? And make it a bigger font, larger font. But what I recommend is that you turn it into one of those headers, all right? And there are a few reasons for doing so. And actually, I will share another technique soon why this is super important. But one of the reasons why you want to separate, between regular text and and this kind of header text is the fact that it's just easy on your eyes to read. All right. For example, they utilize this right here. You see they used this header 3 option. And by the way, these are the 3 header options, heading options you can choose, 2, 3, and 4. They're just different sizes. All right. And again, as you add lots and lots of text, let's pretend we have like paragraphs and paragraphs. Maybe you created a benefits, page, and maybe you want to talk about vacation policy here. All right, just like that. And again, some text here as well. All right. Look, you do want to separate it by creating headers. All right. So that will make it a little bit easier. Let me just republish it. All right. And now all of the sudden, it's just much easier, right, for you to organize, for the users to, read the information from your pages. Same thing you would be doing, right, in a typical maybe Word document. Headers definitely help you kind of make it easier for people to read and access the information on your pages. Let me now share the next tip, next trick, why, and this will become even more important, why we utilize those headings. All right. So the functionality I'm about to show you, is called page anchors. And let me explain to you what this is all about. So when you have regular text, you just have regular text displayed on the page. However, when you convert it to a header or heading, if I hover over those benefits, you see what happens? I get this little icon, link icon. And what this is, what I can do is right click and copy link address. All right, just like the site has a URL, this is a URL for that particular heading. Why is it useful? Well, let me tell you why. Because if you do have lots and lots of content on your page, and if your users do need to scroll all the way down, you can actually create links to those sections on the pages, almost like a table of contents. All right, let me show you. Let's go ahead and create something here. I'm going to add a section right on the top of the page. And I'm going to, once again, this will be another text web part. And you know what, I want my users to see this table of contents. And, it will consist of all these different sections I created. Benefits, vacation policy, and so on, all right? Whatever it is. Now, here's the trick. You highlight this text right here and insert a link. And of course, you can link to whatever you want. All right. And look, it even offers me to link to this place. But I'm going to paste this link. This is a direct link. You see, it's kind of encoded. It's a direct link. It's a page anchor to that benefits heading, heading that we have. And again, here's my text. And I can optionally open the link in the new tab. Now let's stay on this page. Click Save. And that's it. And let me republish it now. And let's now see how it works. So I'll just refresh it just in case. So I'm a user who just made it to the site, a table of contents. I see all these links. I want to read about benefits. Look at this. It automatically scrolls down to that particular section of the page. So if I have several paragraphs here, and maybe the next heading starts, several pages down, it will scroll all the way down if I were to build the links. All right. So super important functionality. Again, this might be useful if you have lots of text on your on your pages. So definitely break it into those headings and create those page anchors. Or maybe you just have lots and lots of content and lots of vertical scroll, right? And maybe you want to guide users to the specific areas, specific sections of your pages. You can utilize this trick as well. This next trick I'm about to show you, I think you will love it. Yeah, the best practice or trick number 5, utilize the vertical section. All right. Now, let me explain to you what I'm talking about. And this will actually help you mitigate, once again, some of this white space issue. It will help you mitigate this vertical scroll issue. But let me first show you what I'm talking about. So I'm back on my intranet home site, and I have 3 columns here. You see I have news on the left, company calendar in the middle, and weather on the right. But I also have this other column, a 4th column. This is called a vertical column, and you can also add it to your pages. Now, let me show you how to do that. It's actually not very obvious, all right? Because if I try to edit the page, and we should be able to edit the page, let's refresh. All right, and let's see. All right, so I'm going to edit the page. All right, and once again, if I maybe stay here for a second, I want to add another column. You see, 3 is the max, right? I don't really have anything, a larger than 3 column, layout. So how do we add it? Here's the trick. You click the plus sign, and you can add new sections. And one of the selections would be vertical section. Now, it will be grayed out most likely. If it's not grayed out, go ahead and add it. But if it is grayed out, let me explain to you why. It's because of this right here. When you want to add a vertical section to the page, you cannot have both the full width layout and a vertical section on one page. All right, so pick one or another. All right, so you see how essentially what happened here when I downloaded this template, right? When I installed this template, it is a full width. What essentially Microsoft did, right? They added what's called a full width section. Here we go. It's a section that runs all the way from the left to all the way on the right. All right. So there is absolutely no white space in here, as you can see. All right. And this full width section is pretty limited in terms of what it can have. There are actually only 3 web parts you can have in here. The hero web part, which is what this is, the countdown timer, and an image. All right. So how do we add a vertical section? So you can either delete the full width, section altogether, or what I like to do, right? I mean, look, maybe you still like this hero web part. I'm going to convert it simply to a 1-column layout, just like that. So unfortunately, I will have a bit of white space on the left and right. All right. With that, it's not a full width, but I can mitigate it by maybe adding some color or something just like that. All right. Now that I got rid of the full width section, if I click the plus sign, all of a sudden vertical section is enabled, so I can add it. Let's go ahead and add it. And here it is, all right, on the right-hand side. And you can actually adjust the color of the section, right? We can go for all these different options that we now have in terms of new background, colors, I guess, on the section. This section is like any other section on the page. It can have its own background color and set of web parts. And you know what? Now, well, we can either add new web parts in here, but you know what? Let's get rid of, you know what? I'm going to move this one. All right. We want to get rid of some of this, white space. Actually, I don't think I moved it, right? Here we go, just like that. All right. And maybe let me see. I think I need to delete this one. All right, and maybe, right, I'm going to move this one, right, because we're trying to get rid of the vertical scroll. All right, just like that. Let's make it nice. All right. So that's pretty much it. As you can see now, first of all, with this vertical section, I mitigated a few issues. First of all, I'm utilizing this extra white space wisely. Now we can actually add something in here. And I'm also minimizing the vertical scroll because I have now all this additional real estate to add all of the web parts. And of course, once you make the changes, click republish. and essentially now our page has been published and available to everyone. And now I have all this content that is visible to the users when they make it to our site. By the way, remember that table of contents we created. Those page anchors will still work even though I move them to the vertical section. So if I click here, it still scrolls all the way down for me, automatically showing me those particular headings. The next SharePoint page design best practice I want to share with you, I believe number 6, is this. Do not embed document libraries or lists on the SharePoint pages. Essentially what you see here, try to avoid it, all right? Now, there are actually several reasons. I have a pretty detailed article on my blog about reasons why you should not do that, but let me highlight a few, for you. So first of all, it just doesn't look pretty. All right. I mean, you built your page, right? All these nice images, and then all of a sudden a bunch of files and folders all over the place. All right. Second thing, it just takes a lot of valuable real estate, right? Anytime, let me just show you to you. I'm going to just what I'm going to edit in here. So typically you would go in, I see users going in and add in a particular document library. And again, let's republish it. And look how much real estate it's using. All right, look how much real estate it's using, even though, right, I mean, all this extra white space we now have, right? Just because we embedded a document library. So I always recommend that you don't do that. The other reason for not embedding a library or list on the page is that in some cases, all right, even though that's not really the best practice, in some cases maybe you have some unique permissions for this particular library, and maybe I'm not supposed to see it, all right? It's not going to be a very nice experience when it tries to render it on the page. It might be like an ugly error message that users get, an empty box, so it's not going to look nice at all. So what would be the alternative, all right? Well, the alternative would be for you just to create a link. If you want to link to a particular to this library or even a particular file and folder, you can easily just create a link maybe from here or something, all right? Let me actually quickly show you how to do that. So you would navigate to the library. Yeah, I mean, you just maybe want to link to that particular library. Just grab a link and maybe edit the page and add a link maybe from the top navigation, or you can add a link from essentially your quick links, whatever you want, and yeah, just like that. All right, it's much more elegant. Again, I mean, look how much space this takes compared to this whole library that you see. It is an extra click, but at this point, the users are inside of the library and they can access all those documents. The next tip number 7, I want to share with you has to do with page comments. All right, and I don't think this is a problem with the regular pages. I think when you create a news post, let's try and create some announcements and see if the issue is still there. All right, so let's say I'm creating some announcement, and look at this. You see the comments are on. The comments are on, and I believe for pages, this is not the case. All right, for SharePoint pages, I believe the comments are off, but for news posts, for whatever reason, they are on. All right, and I always encourage that you disable essentially them. All right, let me show you why. All right, let me actually go ahead and post this announcement. It could be a page because of this. All right, and unfortunately, this comments, I mean, they appear at the bottom of the page or the news post, and even though people can comment and like them, it's not really visible, right? This is not really how modern, I guess, social media works, right? All of these comments, they will always be kind of hidden if you have some content for the announcement. So bottom line is, when you create any news post, just make sure to disable the comments so the users cannot leave the comments. And on a regular page, if I'm not mistaken, when you actually, you know what, let's just go ahead and create a new page and see if the problem is still there. So new page, I'm creating a regular page now, all right? And let's see. So yeah, I don't think I see the comments. Okay, great. All right, so the comments are not there. But in case if they are, just make sure to toggle the switch off. By the way, there is also a way for SharePoint admins to totally disable the comments. This would apply to all the sites and all the pages, but this is something that happens in the admin center and something that UIT people will probably do. The next page design best practice I want to share with you, number 8, keep your site navigation clean. All right, clean and organized. This is what I often see on this, essentially on the sites. All right, and in some cases when you have maybe a smaller screen, just like that. I mean, look, I cannot even see the full menu. You see, it's all compressed. All right. And I see like 55 links appearing over here. So in case, I mean, obviously, try to minimize the number of links that appear here. But if you do need to have many links, here's what you need to do. Make sure to utilize the drop downs, the sublink option. Click the edit button on the navigation. And, let's say these two, they need to be, kind of under this drop down. So just do this, 3 dots, make a sublink. 3 dots, make a sublink. And you can actually build up to 2 levels of this drop-down menu, navigation. And again, I'm going to maybe, create a few ones here. All right, just like that. That's good enough. Let me show you what I just did. Look at this. All of the sudden, it's a much a shorter navigation, doesn't take as much real estate. And if I have a smaller screen, maybe like a laptop, I will still be able to see it. And yeah, I mean, all of our, links are still here. All right. It's just that now this is like an accordion style, drop down. By the way, if you need to create, right, when you create a link, you can either create a link or a label. So if you need to create another header, maybe, all right, and then organize links underneath, you can actually do that. So let me just show you. I created a label right here. So this is not a clickable label, and then maybe maybe this will be underneath. Actually, yeah, that's not what I wanted to do. Make sublink. That's what I want to do. Yeah. So just like that. So again, you create a label and then a link underneath, or 2 levels of links, just like I did here. Remember, we can build 2 of those 2 levels down in terms of the drop-down menu. But the bottom line is make sure to keep it nice and clean and organized so it's not overwhelming to your users visiting the site. The next trick I want to share with you, the next page design best practice, hide the site navigation if necessary. What do I mean by that? So look, in our example, I just have this site right here, right? It's kind of a standalone site, and I have this navigation. But let's just say I decide to connect this site to the Internet Hub. So essentially, let's say we built an intranet with hub navigation, and essentially, yeah, let's say we have this HR site, all right. And as you can see, my HR site has its own site navigation. All right. In our case, it's, we have many more choices. And what ends up happening is that if you have this global hub navigation, right, and then you have your site and navigation appearing right underneath, it just too confusing to the end users. All right. Too many links in one area. As a matter of fact, let me show you what will happen. Let's actually go ahead and I'm going to connect this site to the hub, to that hub that you saw, company internet hub, and let's see what happens. All right, so I'm going to connect it to this hub. All right, and all right, let's just save and let's see what will happen when I connect our department site to the hub. So as you can see, this is what I was talking about. The hub navigation propagates to all the sites, right? So this way I can navigate to the other sites that I have within my hub, right? Within my intranet. But look how confusing it is. All right, I have this hub navigation and I have this, my site navigation. Too many links. All right, too many links. So maybe, it would be wise to transfer some of those links to the quick links area. Maybe some of those links belong in the hub navigation, right? So everyone can easily access the information with one click right from the hub. If you do decide to transfer, essentially get rid of this navigation, obviously, you can edit the links and remove them by one, but you don't have to. Let me show you another trick. You can actually just easily hide it. What you would need to do is click on the gear icon, change the look, and click navigation over here. And you can change to different styles of navigation, but in our case, we just want to hide it. So you just do this, you see, and it disappeared on us. So I'm going to click save and look at this. It's now much cleaner, right? I only have hub navigation and it's not as confusing as it used to be to our end users. The last tip I want to share with you is actually the opposite of what I just told you, but it only applies to team sites. So remember, I told you you can essentially hide that site navigation on communication sites. On team sites, you can do the same thing. All right. So here is my team site. All right. And I have left-hand side navigation. And you can actually do the same on this site as well. Let me show you. So gear icon, change the look, navigation, and again, hide. All right. Hide that navigation altogether. But here's the problem. Team site is typically, utilized for collaboration, right? So the members of the site will be able to collaborate here and collaborate on documents and other types of content. But one of the links on that team site, every team site has one, is a recycle bin. All right. And let's say I deleted some documents from the library. How do I restore them now? All right. There used to be a link to the recycle bin. Now it disappeared on me. So not many people know that you can actually get to it by clicking the gear icon, site contents. And here it is. Here is the recycle bin. But look, there were a few clicks now, right? The users kind of had to know where to go, where to click. So my recommendation here is that if you do have a team site, it doesn't gain you much, all right? Typically, that navigation, if a team site is connected, let me show you over here. Here's my example, right? You see that team site over here? It has left-hand side navigation. It's not in conflict with the hub navigation, right? So it's still kind of easy to differentiate between the two. This is the global hub navigation, and this is the site navigation. But this recycled bin link is super important. So let's go ahead and return it to the site. And essentially now, just like that, click save. And essentially, let me maybe refresh my page, just like that. And left-hand side navigation is back. And because of this, it is super important to leave it in place. All right. So make sure on the on your team sites to leave it in place. Otherwise, your users will have hard time finding the recycle bin. So I pretty much covered a total of 10 SharePoint page design best practices. Hopefully, you found them useful, and hopefully you'll be able to apply them as you build your sites and pages. Now, of course, once again, in my opinion, they were kind of generic, and you can apply them to any type of site. I mean, obviously, a lot of those will become useful if you build your own department sites, internet portals. And hopefully, once again, you will find those tips useful. Now, before I end this video, just wanted to mention a few things. First of all, I do have a post on the same topic as I covered today. All right, so feel free to check it out. You can find it right on my blog, just like that. Here we go. SharePoint Pages Design Best Practices. And all of the tips that I shared today, I also have them listed here. I also have links, like if you want to learn more about page anchors, for example, or take a deep dive and find out a little bit more about some of those functionalities or the reasons why we should not embed libraries. I have actually dedicated articles for that. All right, so feel free to check out my blog if you wish. And the last thing I want to mention is that if you do need any assistance with SharePoint, whether you're looking for some hourly, consulting Q&A type of session, or you need assistance building the internet portal or document management system within SharePoint, I will be happy to help. All right, I do provide all of those services to my clients. I'm pretty big about training. All right, I think training is the key. So if you do need assistance with SharePoint training, whether it is for beginners or site owners, I offer both on-demand and live training options. And once again, I have all the courses and curriculum and everything listed right on my site. So feel free to check it out. But for now, thank you very much for watching this tutorial. Hopefully you found it useful. And as always, happy to see you on my blog, sharepointmaven.com, and see you soon on my YouTube channel. Thank you very much and have a great rest of the day. Goodbye.